Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be, oh my, my voice just kind of cracked there a little bit. Today's video is going to be my everyday makeup drawer. I am about to start filming my makeup collection and declutter series, or my not so much declutter series. So if you guys are interested in that video, I'm gonna show off like my entire makeup collection, and then I'm gonna go in category by category and kind of declutter some products to try to like reorganize things, get rid of old products, expired products, or just products that I really didn't like. So if you guys are interested in any of those videos, leave me a category that you would prefer to watch first, and I'll make sure that I film that category for you guys first if it's something that you're really interested in seeing, like face powders or bronzers or highlighters, blushes, etc. So I have this drawer, and you guys will see it when I film my collection and not so much declutter series. I have this large drawer that's kind of at the bottom of one of my makeup organizers, and this is the drawer where when I use a product, I put it in here. I don't like to shop my stash. Sometimes I will put items in here already that I want to test out or I want to try out. But more often than not, what ends up happening is I sit down to do my makeup and I start pulling products out that I want to use. So I will pull out an eyeshadow palette, or I will pull out a bronzer that I want to use that day, or a highlighter, right? Say I'm doing kind of like, I normally like to match my highlighter to my eye color. So if I'm doing like a more pinky eye, I will try to find like a pinky highlighter, right? Because I use my highlighter not only as my highlight, but I also use it as my inner corner, right? So oftentimes what this drawer ends up housing are products that I tried or used, and maybe I want to reuse it or use it again, so I'll throw it in here, right? And so when this product gets full, I put all of my products back, and then I just keep doing that, right? And that's kind of how I rotate my my makeup, so that I love and use all of my products. And you guys will see I have a lot of makeup, so I don't like to shop my stash, because if I sit there and I use a single product for like a month or 2 weeks or whatever, then I tend to neglect all my other products, right? So these products have only ever really been used once, twice, 3 times, but I'll let you know those as we go through them, right? There's some in here that I just can't stop using, right? And that is, I'm just gonna start from like what's on top. So I'm gonna start with my eyeshadow palettes, because those are kind of all organized in a little area over here. The first palette I want to talk about is the Transition palette from Dominique Cosmetics. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and this is my all-time favorite palette. Although it is a matte palette, it has every single color that I will ever want to use in here. So these tend to be a little more neutrally colors, but this mustard color is just so unique, right? Then these in the middle tend to be a little bit more like pink tone, cool tones, right? Or pink tones, I would say. And then these up here are kind of the more cool tones, where you have like this very unique gray here. It's just, it's perfection. So the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette used to be my favorite all matte palette. What I mean by my favorite all matte palette is, or my all-time favorite palette, is that if I just want an all matte look, I gravitate toward this palette. If I want to use a glittery eye, I gravitate towards this palette, because a glittery eye or a topper is just going to go on my eyelid. If I'm going to use a single shadow, I'll gravitate towards this palette. If I'm going to use, I don't know, a palette that has all shimmers in it, like one that's going to be in here, I'll gravitate towards this palette. I honestly find I'm going to have to hide this palette in my collection, because I'm just gravitating towards it. I could pretty much get rid of all of my other palettes except for like my shimmer palettes and my single eyeshadows as well. and just keep these palette, and I would be perfectly satisfied and happy and have every shade that I would ever need. It's just a beautiful palette. I'd never heard of it. I've heard of Dominique Cosmetics. I have a lot of her palettes already, and I love her formula. And this is the same. Like, the formula is absolutely great. It blends beautifully. It just builds beautifully. Not super pigmented so that when you stamp it on, you can't blend it out. It's just beautiful. So this is what I mean by like an all shimmer palette. This is the Pillow Talk palette from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the only Charlotte Tilbury palette that I have. And this essentially is just a topper palette. And it's okay. Honestly, I kind of regret purchasing this because it's just okay. It's a very pretty, like, it's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Sorry, I'm gonna get kind of close with you guys. It's what I'm wearing on my palettes today, and it's just okay. There's other shimmers, there's other glittery shadows that I prefer. The pigmentation isn't really there because it's meant to just be a topper, and I don't know. Like, I feel like a topper is just like an extra step that I probably wouldn't recommend this. I wouldn't repurchase this if it broke or something. It's just, I don't know. I'll use it because I have it, because it was expensive. I will try to pull it out and use it as often as possible. This will probably stay in this drawer just so that I can kind of like top other, you know, eyeshadows with it, but I don't really care for it. This here is the Main Squeeze palette from ColourPop. I bought the entire like colorful collection palette thingies that ColourPop has, and I can't remember, I was wearing something that had like little accents on it that was very similar in tone to the shadows in this palette, and so I went ahead and pulled it out, and I really liked it. I really liked this palette. It's not the most luxurious formula, but if you're on a budget and you're really looking to experiment with colorful eye looks, and you don't want to pick up like a palette from, let's say, Huda Beauty, which I will talk about in a second, I would recommend these palettes. I mean, the formula is okay. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. So I'll probably end up keeping these colorful palettes in my collection. This is one from Huda Beauty called the Pastels Mint palette, and I think I got this in a BoxyCharm. I don't think I purchased this one on my own, and I'm kind of glad I got it in a BoxyCharm because I don't really have a mint palette. There is an eyeshadow in the Anastasia, I think it's called the Riviera palette, that I absolutely love, and it's this gorgeous mint green color. But that Riviera palette is getting very old, and the shadows aren't working as well. So I'm kind of glad that I now have this in my collection, and it's just a very nice palette. I really love this shade here. I know it's the like brown one, but it's kind of like that perfect transition shade for me. So I'm glad that I got this. I probably would not have picked this up if it hadn't been for BoxyCharm. And I'm so glad that I got it and that I now have it in my collection. And it is one that I would recommend if you are into these kind of pastels, and especially if you're into that really pretty like mint green look. It's just a really well put together palette. I will say the only thing is that I think I did have to pull in for like a deeper shade to kind of deepen out my outer corner, but I have plenty of palettes that do that. For example, my Urban Decay Naked Basics. This is hands down my favorite kind of, if I don't have a shade in another palette that I really need, I gravitate towards this palette. So this is kind of like my fix other palettes palette, right? You can get a very nice basic look out of this, but like I said, this is kind of my fix other shades if another palette doesn't have it type of palette. I know this is unfortunately discontinued, but I have found it on Mercari and Poshmark. I've been thinking about buying a backup of it just because, as you can see, I've hit pan on several shades here. It's just a great little you know, useful palette to have on hand, right? Okay. The Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. I pulled this out because this is my all kind of shimmer palette. The shades in here are really gorgeous, but ooh, I'm trying not to blind you guys. The shades in here are very gorgeous. I don't know, like I feel like, I don't know why I'm underwhelmed with this palette, because every time I've used it, I've gotten gorgeous results out of it. It smells like chocolate. It has like these really nice transition shades, these really nice shades to kind of deepen up the crease in the inner corner, or the outer corner, excuse me. I think this will be a really nice palette if you don't have an all shimmer palette, but I do already have a lot of shades like this in my collection. So this is one of the palettes I'm actually thinking about decluttering. Ooh. I know. I know. It's kind of scary when I think of decluttering my palettes. This next one is an Illamasqua palette, and this is the Unveiled Artistry palette, and this is another palette that I got in my BoxyCharm. So I threw it in here because I wanted to play around with it. And I really, really like these colors. They are a little bit on the softer side, but I love these kind of like camely matte colors down here. But the shimmers are kind of underwhelming. I don't know if that makes sense. The shimmers are a little bit on the softer side, and for that reason I didn't really care for this palette. It's just kind of a weird palette to me, so I'm probably going to end up decluttering that one from my collection. The NARS Extreme Effects palette. This is something I got on sale. It was on the sale section, either Sephora or Ulta, I can't remember. The packaging for this is so difficult to open. This also was an underwhelming palette. I used it 2, maybe 3 times, and I thought the looks that I came out with it were just okay for such an expensive palette. So I'm going to keep it in my collection and maybe work with it a little bit more. But again, it was kind of underwhelming, or I may just go ahead and declutter it because, you know, it's so gently used that maybe someone else who likes softer looks may really enjoy that one, right? And so these are the single shadows that I pulled in to play with, that for the most part I ended up using like either the ColourPop palette or the Dominique Cosmetics palette to play around with these single shadows, or to complete the look with these single shadows. So the first one is the Tarte Chrome Paint. This is in Top Yacht. This was gorgeous. I wore this yesterday and I got a lot of compliments with it. It's this gorgeous kind of light gold color. These are uber metallic eyeshadows. You don't need to wet them. You don't need to do anything with them. They're just absolutely gorgeous eyeshadows. Let's go ahead and give y'all a swatch of this because it's that pretty, right? Oh my gosh, you guys, like you just need a little bit of this and it goes such a long way. These single shadows are ones that I typically just use like a I know, right? I just use my finger to apply these. I like to apply a lot of my single shadows with just my finger, especially because a lot of my single shadows tend to be these gorgeous like metallic, like I don't know what else to say, like these gorgeous like metallic shades, right? So that one's in the color Top Yacht, and I think I own every single one of these. Just gorgeous. ColourPop. I pulled out Twitter Pated. I love ColourPop single shadows, but I only purchase the ones that I can wear as a lid shade. And this is this gorgeous kind of peachy pink undertone, like base color with this gold kind of glitter throughout it. And I just really, really like this eyeshadow. Kind of reminds me of like NARS Orgasm just a little bit. The base color isn't super potent, so if you wanted to apply or put a peachy color or a pinky color underneath it and then just kind of put this on top, you could. I ended up just kind of using it as it was because I wanted like a softer or a lighter color all over my lid. And I think I used the Watermelon palette with the ColourPop eyeshadow. And the last one was part of the latest holiday, the last Christmas holiday collection from MAC. This is in Firework The Room, an extra dimension foiled eyeshadow. And I thought this color was going to be a little bit more red than what it actually is, but it ends up having this orangey pinky shift to it. When you actually end up applying it to the eye, it's not as like intense as it looks in the pan, obviously. Sorry guys, my camera is just not focusing, but I still really like it, and I wish it was maybe a little bit more foiled. Maybe next time I will try wetting the product, but I still liked it. I still like the look that I came out with it. And it would be it was a really nice kind of smoky eye. I ended up doing a little bit of a smoky eye with this, just kind of putting this all over the lid and using the color itself to kind of smoke out a little bit, and then I went in and deepened the crease. So I really liked this one, and it's a single shadow I'll probably keep in my collection, but it's not what I expected it to be. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, let's get into some complexion products. So I do not have any foundations in here because I like to kind of play around with foundations every day. So I wear a different foundation every single day. Every single day I wear a different foundation. Today I am wearing the Hourglass Stick Foundation, and I got to say I'm not really liking it for my dry patches. But I kind of did a foundation combo. So I have the Hourglass Stick Foundation on my entire face, and then just in my cheeks where I have like a dry patch right now because I got a little sunburnt. I'm wearing the Clinique, like Even Better, the one that's kind of like in the squishy tube. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. So I wear different foundations every single day. I don't really have any powders in here, like any setting powders. Ooh, I'm lying. I do have one setting powder in here, and this is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette, the one like the classic ambient lighting palette. Just because this doesn't really fit in my setting powder drawer, I may make it fit in my setting powder drawer. And I go in with a brush and I just kind of brush over all three of these shades, and I use it as a finishing powder. This is not a setting powder for me. This is a gorgeous finishing powder, and it's magic. It's magic. So I don't concentrate on a particular shade. I just swirl my brush in here and get all three shades, and it is a gorgeous finishing powder. When I don't know, it makes my skin look skin-like. It makes my skin look skin-like. It's true. And I have been having to wear, unfortunately, a lot more foundation lately because the mask was really breaking me out. I had to wear a mask every single day. Even when the restrictions were starting to like lift everywhere else, I was still wearing a mask every single day because I was around kids, right? But that is the only complexion product, like a foundation product that I have. Everything else in here is bronzers, highlighters, and blush. So let's start off with bronzers. So I have two cream bronzers here. I have the Nude Sticks Bondi Bay. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and I am really loving this product. It is a little warmer than I would like it to be. And not only like that I would like it to be, that I thought I would have liked it to be. So if I would have gone out and had the option to purchase this product on my own, I probably wouldn't have. But I'm glad I got it in a BoxyCharm, and I'm glad I tried it because I oftentimes like wearing a cream bronzer underneath my bronzer. I am not wearing one today because I just didn't feel like applying one today, but I a lot of the times will go in with a cream bronzer and then apply a powder bronzer on top of it, right? And so the other cream bronzer that I have is this Fenty Matchstick, and this is in the shade Maple. It's a little bit more cool toned. And this is if I am going to wear a bronzer that I know is a little too, I don't want to say a little too deep for me, but that I know has a lot of pigmentation, I will go in with something like this. And okay, let's see. Another bronzer. Nope, that's the Bobbi Brown. Is it? No, that's not a bronzer. That's a highlighter. Park Avenue Princess. So the Park Avenue Princess Amazonian Waterproof Bronzer. This is the one that has a little bit of shimmer to it, but it's honestly not super shimmery. Love that bronzer. It's just a really nice shade, really nice formula. Oh, this one here. This is the Hourglass Nude Bronze Light Bronzer, and I think it's just absolutely beautiful. There is the Luminous Bronzer that I'm about to pull out, so you guys may see that one next week. But that's just very, very luminous, and it's kind of perfect for this time round. But I pulled this one out first because a few weeks ago, I was not as tan as I am right now. Y'all might see my little tan lines here because I went to the beach a few weekends ago. So this doesn't show up as well right now, but when I was like very fair, as y'all can see, this showed up beautifully. So if you are on the fair light side of the spectrum, this will is a gorgeous bronzer, and it's not super luminous. My all-time favorite bronzer is the Baked Mediterranean bronzer in Matte Golden Goddess. This is my all-time favorite bronzer, and I actually have a backup of this. But yeah, it's just a gorgeous bronzer. It's the bronzer that I'm wearing today. I didn't even apply a cream bronzer underneath it because it's just gorgeous. Okay, so I have only 2 blushes because I haven't really been in a blush mood lately. So I have the MAC Power Play blush in the color So Natural. It honestly looks like a bronzer shade, but this is a gorgeous blush. I have a little plastic over here because it's a cream blush or cream type blush, and I want to make sure that I keep it as hydrated as possible. Like, I don't want it to lose its moisture. And then the other MAC blush that I have, they kind of look similar, but I feel like Tenderling has a little bit more of like a pinky undertone to it. But Tenderling is a blush that I gravitate towards when I just want like a nice neutral blush that's not really going to clash with my eye makeup or anything like that. So those are my two I can't think, you guys. I'm getting a little tired. Those are my 2 blushes, right? So bronzers, I really only had 3 that I rotated to for the past, I would say like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks worth of makeup, maybe 2 weeks. So I got a lot of use out of these bronzers, but highlighter is really something that I like to really only wear once and then move on to the next one because I have so many highlighters in my collection. I like to play around with all of my highlighters. So I have a few Ofra highlighters. So I have an Ofra highlighter palette, which in my opinion is the best way to buy Ofra highlighters because they're so expansive. So this one here is the Nikki Tutorials highlighting trio, and I did use all 3 of these highlighters. This one I obviously ended up using as an eyeshadow, but you can really kind of lightly use this one and get away with it, or I could get away with it now that I have a little bit more color, right? But I couldn't get away with it when I was using this when I was at my fairest. The center one in Glazed Donut is my favorite. Space Baby is not necessarily my favorite because it has that bluish sheen to it, but I do think it's a unique highlighter. But I have so many of those in my collection already that I don't know, I may get rid of those ones with like a bluish tint to it and keep the well, obviously I'm going to keep the Ofra one, but I'll get rid of maybe the other ones in my collection that have like a bluish tint to it because I have Space Baby already in that palette. The other highlighter I have here is in Star Island. I think this is my favorite Ofra highlighter ever, and I hope it never gets discontinued because if it does, I will buy like 6 backups of it because my favorite Ofra highlighter ever. It's just a gorgeous like light gold that you can wear with pretty much anything. I can wear that color with even like a pinky eyeshadow look. I think it looks gorgeous. It's just so pretty. I have to actively try to not use that highlighter, right? It's just really pretty. All right. So I have this one from Bobbi Brown, and it's called Telluride, and I actually forgot that I had put this in here because I use this as a blush topper because it's a little too deep for me to be a highlighter shade. So I should have talked about this when I was talking about my blushes. I did use this as a blush topper, and I think it's just absolutely beautiful, especially because I was sad that the luminosity of this had kind of gone away when I set it. So I applied this as a blush topper. And that's only because I had this in my collection. This is something that I had picked up at a CCO, but I would obviously not buy a Bobbi Brown product simply just to use it as a blush topper. I didn't want to declutter this, and I kept it around as a blush topper because it's something that I already had in my collection, right? Another Bobbi Brown product. This is actually new to my collection. This is Moon Glow. And this is on sale right now on the Sephora website, so or app. So I picked it up. It was out of stock for a little bit, but it came back in stock, and I picked it up on sale. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's this gorgeous like gold highlighter. It's just so pretty. It's just so good. It's so good. I don't know if you can see it there. It's like right there. I really, really like it. I do like the Bobbi Brown highlighters, but they're expensive, so I'm only going to pick them up when they're on sale, right? The highlighter that I'm wearing on my cheeks today is from Makeup Geek. This is in Glitz, and it's kind of like this pinky. Sometimes it catches a little bit like of a lavender shift to it, but I'm wearing this in my inner corners, and I'm wearing it on my cheeks today, as you can see. Very, very beautiful highlighter. I did build it up a little bit today just because I wanted a little bit more of a built up highlighter. And as you can see, it glows to the heavens, right? But you can wear this very softly, and it's not going to be such an intense shine. So I love my Makeup Geek highlighters, and I think they may have discontinued these or there is like a new formulation of them. But I see them all the time on Mercari and Poshmark. So if you do like a good highlighter, I really like the Makeup Geek formula. A classic highlighter, the Mary Luminizer. If I just want like a classic gold, light gold highlighter, very similar to the Ofra. In fact, they could be dupes. No, the Ofra is a little bit paler. But it's still just a gorgeous highlighter. The Gopher, I think, is more like a baked gelée formula versus this is like a powder highlighter, but it's still just a classically gorgeous highlight, you guys. So that's it right there, right? A pinky highlighter, another pinky highlighter that I pulled out is Becca's Rose Quartz. This is a kind of subtle pinky highlighter, so in comparison to other Becca formulas, I think I'm going to dedicate an entire video to all of my Becca highlighters because I have every single one of them except for maybe one or two that aren't for my skin tone. But this is a more subtle. Unfortunately, it is a more subtle pinky highlight. But fortunately, it's a more subtle pinky highlight because some people don't like that super glowy, glitzy highlight type of deal. So if you're looking for a good, subtle but pretty but good formula that's going to last a while, and Becca is also going out of business, like every single person on YouTube is talking about every video I watch, everyone's like, did y'all know Becca was going out of business? Yes I know. And I'm kind of, I don't know what do y'all think about that? Personally, I don't really think they're going out of business. I think one of two things is going to happen. I think come September time, they're going to say that they decided to like reduce their products to just their core products, and they're only going to be selling like their core products, or they're going to rebrand, right? Like it's still going to be like the Becca formula, and it's going to come back as like a different brand. I don't know, kind of like how you had like Estee Lauder and Estee Edit or whatever. Like, I think, my personal opinion, I don't think they're going away. I think they're too popular of a makeup company, and Becca is kind of notorious for saying it's going to be gone forever, bye, and then psych, just kidding, it's going to come back later. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyways, this highlighter here, the Laura Mercier Highlight 01. It's their Matte Radiance Baked Powder Highlighter. This highlighter, I feel like, fools so many people. I want to say it's a subtle highlighter and that it's a glow from within highlighter, and it really is, but it's just a little bit more than that, right? Like, it's not too subtle where I can really say it's like an uber subtle highlighter, right? Like, it's just a very gorgeous highlighter. I had a mini of this and I used it up completely. And I was so sad. Like, at first I was like, I think I had put it in like a project pan. And I was so excited about getting rid of that product. But after I had used it up, I was kind of sad for a bit. And then I got a full size of it in BoxyCharm. And I am just forever grateful. Like, this is, I think, a product that I will always have in my collection, because it's just one of those products that if I don't feel like wearing a strong highlight, or if I feel like making myself look a little bit healthier, this is a perfect product for that. So it's just a great product. The last highlighter I have here is the Jouer powder highlighter in the color Skinny Dip, or in the shade Skinny Dip. And I do have to be careful with this one, because Jouer highlighters are just so soft that I'm always afraid it's going to break or fall out of the pan, because I have seen so many people with their Jouer highlighters that are just broken. And I don't want to do that with this highlighter. And so it's kind of this really pretty gold peachy color that when I pulled it out and I was a little bit more fair, didn't really look right on my skin. And I will say that I got so fair during the pandemic that almost all of my foundations were just too dark for me. And now that I've kind of gone back to my normal skin complexion, it's just to my normal shade, I would say. This Jouer highlighter I think is going to look so much better, but I'm just going to put it back into my highlighter drawer and play around with other highlighters. But that's it. That's everything in my everyday makeup drawer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and kind of me talking about all the products and giving you guys reviews, see what I'm potentially going to declutter from my collection and what I'm definitely keeping. And once this gets filled up again, I will do this video again. So I don't know how often that'll happen. Hopefully every like 2 weeks or so. I doubt it's going to be a weekly thing. I don't know. Now that it's the summertime, I may wear makeup more often. But yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I am going to try to post 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But we shall see how how close to that schedule I can stick to. So hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.